don't scroll past this, because what you're about to hear is one of the most heartbreaking and least understood stories in YouTube history. 15 million people were watching, hundreds of millions of views, a decade spent building something pure on a platform drowning in noise. A family that became America's favorite wilderness adventure, teaching kids and parents how to survive, how to bond, and how to find meaning beyond screens. And then, without warning, he disappeared. No scandal, no viral meltdown, just a 9-minute video, a simple thank you, and silence. Fans were left scrambling for answers, speculating, theorizing, desperate for closure. What really happened to Luke Nichols, the man behind Outdoor Boys? Why did someone so beloved vanish from the very world he built? And what drove him back into the spotlight, on someone else's terms, 6 months later, in the middle of an Alaskan snowstorm? Tonight, we're uncovering the story behind the cameras. The sacrifices, the pressure, and the cost of life lived in front of millions of strangers who thought they owned every moment. This isn't just a YouTube story. It's a cautionary tale about fame, family, and the price of stepping away from everything you've built. The goodbye that broke the internet. On May 17, 2025, Luke Nichols uploaded a 9-minute video with a single-word title: Goodbye. Within hours, millions of viewers realized they had been watching a man slowly disappear for 18 months, without understanding what was killing him. He sat calmly in front of the camera and thanked everyone for more than a decade of support. He explained that he was stepping away to protect his family. Fame had followed them home. Ordinary grocery trips had become public encounters. His 3 sons, Tommy, Nate, and Jacob, were recognized everywhere they went. Safety concerns had crept into conversations that never used to include them. What began as adventure sharing had become constant, surveillance of a family that never asked for it. The channel sat at over 15 million subscribers. Videos regularly hit tens of millions of views. Over 11 years, he had produced more than 1,100 videos, a massive catalog representing thousands of hours documenting wilderness survival skills and family bonding. Nothing about the metrics suggested collapse. Nothing about the numbers explained why this exact moment forced a decision so final it ended everything overnight. Luke offered no specifics about what had changed. He mentioned focusing on family, faith, and himself, but gave no details. No sponsor message, no merchandise pitch, no fundraising effort. The stark absence of anything promotional made it feel irreversible. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within 24 hours, the video passed 2 million views. Over 50,000 comments flooded in before Luke disabled the section entirely. Families described how Outdoor Boys had become part of their daily routines, background comfort during dinner, shared traditions on camping trips, something wholesome in a world that rarely felt that way. Many couldn't understand why someone would walk away at peak success without a visible disaster forcing the choice. But the disaster had been visible for months. It had been documented frame by frame, and Luke had never once acknowledged it. The body breaking down. For almost 2 years, Luke Nichols had been slowly disappearing from his own channel. The evidence was hiding in plain sight, captured in every video, noticed by dedicated fans who began compiling statistics Luke never addressed. From 2022 to mid-2024, his on-camera appearances dropped dramatically. Some months showed half the personal screen time of previous years. His once regular direct-to-camera explanations almost vanished entirely by early 2024. Many episodes opened with brief greetings, then shifted into long stretches of silent footage or distant voiceovers that felt disconnected from the person viewers had followed for years. The visual transformation matched the numbers. Screenshots compared across years showed someone physically diminishing. Deeper shadows under his eyes, paler complexion, slower speech, heavier movements. Cuts on his hands appeared in multiple videos without healing. Clothing looked repeatedly worn. His teaching energy faded into something mechanical, as though completing tasks rather than sharing experiences. Frame-by-frame comparisons revealed observable changes that couldn't be ignored. Videos from 2022 showed Luke handling equipment quickly with high energy. By early 2024, his movements had slowed noticeably. In one February video, he paused mid-sentence for several seconds, something completely absent from earlier content. What disturbed viewers most was the silence. Luke never mentioned illness. He never complained about exhaustion. He never explained the visible shift millions had witnessed over 18 months. Workload explained why the decline accelerated. For nearly a decade, Outdoor Boys operated without a professional crew. Luke planned expeditions alone. He filmed in extreme conditions alone. He carried heavy gear through remote terrain alone. He navigated wilderness that could kill a person alone. And then he returned home to edit every episode himself. No breaks existed in the system. Missed uploads meant algorithm penalties. Slowing down meant falling behind. Simultaneously, Luke maintained his legal practice at Nichols Law in Fairfax, Virginia. Court records confirm he remained an active attorney through 2023 and 2024, handling traffic violations, DUI cases, and misdemeanor criminal defense. Court appearances in the morning, driving hours to remote filming locations in the afternoon, shooting content until dark, editing past midnight, back to court the next morning. Law demands mental sharpness and strict deadlines. Content creation requires physical endurance and emotional presence. Together, they formed an exhausting cycle offering no recovery time. This wasn't gradual fatigue. This was systematic deterioration, accelerating month after month. When fame becomes a cage. But the physical collapse was only half the crisis. The other half was unfolding in public spaces Luke could no longer control. As Outdoor Boys grew past 15 million subscribers, the boundary between viewer and family dissolved completely. Tommy, Nate, and Jacob had appeared in hundreds of videos over a decade, making them instantly recognizable in public spaces. Photos of family encounters circulated on social media, shared by fans who didn't consider the privacy implications for children who never chose public life. The boys had no personal social media accounts. They never promoted themselves. They never asked for public attention. But their regular appearances in Outdoor Boys videos, combined with their father's massive following, created a familiarity that followed them everywhere offline. Longtime fans could identify each son by voice alone. They recognized their mannerisms. They knew their personalities from hundreds of hours of footage. The line between viewer and family had dissolved so completely that strangers felt entitled to approach them anywhere. Online behavior confirmed how dangerous the boundary collapse had become. Forum discussions dissected the boys' personalities in unsettling detail. Some viewers felt entitled to ask invasive questions about their lives, their schools, their daily routines. Fan communities sometimes crossed boundaries with speculation so personal that moderators had to implement stricter privacy rules about discussing the family's details. The damage was already done. The channel itself had transformed in ways Luke couldn't reverse. As Outdoor Boys exploded from modest camping content to 15 million subscribers, the boys' screen time increased dramatically. They evolved from background helpers learning outdoor skills to central performers carrying entire segments. By 2023, Tommy had launched his own secondary channel, Outdoor Tom, which gained over 1 million subscribers within 9 months. The success was impressive, but it forced Luke to confront a question no metric could answer. Were his sons choosing this life, or simply inheriting a role they had never consciously selected? What started as wholesome family bonding had quietly become something Luke could no longer justify. The channel delivered financial security, but it now threatened privacy, safety, and normal childhood development. Every successful upload pulled his family deeper into exposure they couldn't escape. Fame had become a cage, with bars built from view counts and subscriber milestones. Luke finally understood that protecting his family meant destroying everything he had built, because the machine that made them successful was the same machine making them vulnerable. The private crisis, while Luke never detailed private family conversations publicly, the visible pattern of events suggested mounting concerns at home long before he ever sat in front of a camera to say farewell. His wife Rebecca noticed the change first. Wilderness trips that once energized Luke now sent him home depleted in ways rest could not fix. He returned quieter, thinner, and mentally distant. Nights became fragmented by upload deadlines and performance anxiety. Editing sessions stretched past 3 in the morning because the schedule demanded it. The balance he once maintained between law, family, and content had collapsed into a cycle of obligation with no recovery time. The conversations about stopping did not start dramatically. Rebecca suggested small changes first. Fewer uploads, simpler trips, hiring an editor to share the load. Luke resisted, not out of pride, but fear. He felt responsible for the audience, bound by promises he believed he had made to millions of people who trusted him. The algorithm punished absence. Consistency had become a rule he was terrified to break. Every delay felt like failure. Every step back felt irreversible. As the channel grew, the pressure multiplied inward. 15 million subscribers no longer felt like support. It felt like constant judgment. Even without reading comments, Luke carried imagined reactions into every decision. A video that underperformed felt personal. A shift in metrics felt like disapproval. The audience no longer lived on the screen. It lived in his head, evaluating everything he did. The strain reached the children. Tommy, Nate, and Jacob sensed that something had changed, even if they couldn't fully name it. Trips that once felt playful became structured around shots, retakes, and forced enthusiasm. Their father was present, but distracted. Questions surfaced that Luke struggled to answer. Why did strangers recognize them? Why was everything filmed? When would things feel normal again? Luke had reached the point where success, no longer solved anything. His health was visibly declining. His family's privacy was gone. His children were growing up inside a performance they never chose. The final decision was not triggered by a single event. It was the accumulated weight of years that finally exceeded what he could carry. The man behind the camera. To understand why walking away was even possible, you need to understand who Luke Nichols really is. Born in 1978 in Anchorage, Alaska, Luke learned young that survival meant knowing when to turn back, even when the summit was in sight. The wilderness taught him that pushing past your limits doesn't make you strong. It makes you dead. Faith reinforced those instincts. His lifelong membership in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints taught him to prioritize family above career, service above attention, simplicity above excess. After a mission in Japan, law school at George Mason, and co-founding a successful legal practice in Virginia, Luke had built the conventional American dream. But he had already abandoned that dream once before. In 2015, he left the security of law to pursue YouTube full-time, gambling everything on a platform that offered no guarantees. Now, a decade later, he faced the same choice in reverse. Walk away from the channel he had built into an empire, or watch it destroy the family he had built it for. The Alaska wilderness had taught him how to survive extreme conditions. Faith would teach him what was worth surviving for. In May 2025, Luke chose to walk away from everything he had spent a decade building to protect what mattered more. He would give his wife peace instead of worry. He would give his sons a childhood not shaped by strangers watching their every move. Walking away meant losing a decade of work. Staying meant losing his health and his children's privacy. He chose the loss he could survive. The unexpected return. For 3 months after the goodbye, Outdoor Boys stayed frozen at 15 million subscribers. No new uploads, no community posts, no signs of life. Fans began accepting that the channel was truly dead. Then, without warning, Luke uploaded 3 final videos: remote survival trips, family river adventures, off-grid builds. The content arrived with no announcement, no thumbnails signaling a return, no acknowledgement that he was even aware the channel existed anymore. Views surged past millions within days, proving the audience remained devoted despite months of silence. But Luke never engaged with that response. The comment section stayed disabled. No follow-up videos appeared. The 3 uploads stood alone as evidence he had kept his word. Then, silence returned, deeper than before. Life shifted for the Nichols family in ways the camera had never allowed. Rebecca moved through daily routines without calculating whether someone might be filming. Tommy, Nate, and Jacob developed interests outside wilderness skills, exploring who they were when not performing for millions. Luke experienced what he called phantom camera syndrome, catching himself reaching for equipment he had deliberately left behind. But that reflex gradually faded. The peace lasted months. The balance felt sustainable. The decision seemed final. Then in November, a phone call arrived that changed everything. His close friend, Stephen Smith's wife, Celesta, had been diagnosed with thyroid cancer earlier in the year. Surgery in April offered brief hope before follow-up tests revealed something worse: ductal carcinoma, triple-negative breast cancer. One of the most aggressive forms. It had spread to her lymph nodes. With 4 young children and months of chemotherapy ahead, Stephen stepped away from content creation just as his family needed income most desperately. Luke understood the math immediately. 6 months earlier, he had walked away from his own channel to protect his wife and sons from the relentless pressure of online fame. Returning to the wilderness meant reopening, something he had barely escaped. But this time, the risk was not for views. It was for survival. On November 15, 2025, Luke Nichols appeared in an Alaskan snowstorm on Stephen's channel, My Life Outdoors. No announcement, no fanfare, just a lone figure battling whiteout conditions, building a lean-to against a fallen birch, chopping firewood until darkness swallowed the forest, cooking moose stew over an open fire as snow buried the campsite. He moved fast, joked through the cold, and explained gear choices in Stephen's style, not his own. This was not a comeback. This was a transfer of lifeline. Every dollar from the video went to Stephen's family. Within days, the video reached millions of views, pushed Stephen's channel past 1 million subscribers, and delivered real financial relief at the exact moment it was needed. The cameras are off, the comment sections are silent, and the subscriber count sits frozen, a monument to a chapter the world assumed had ended. But Luke Nichols' story didn't end when the videos stopped. It only shifted into a realm the world can't see, where influence isn't measured in views or likes, and legacy isn't tied to algorithms or viral trends. Quiet conversations, unseen guidance, and decisions made away from the spotlight are shaping lives in ways no one online could ever capture. It forces a question that lingers long after the screen goes dark. How much of real impact is happening where no one is watching? How many stories are being written in silence, far beyond applause or recognition, where choices are guided not by popularity, but by principle? Luke's journey reminds us that true legacy isn't built in the glare of cameras. It's built in the decisions we make when no one is paying attention, in the sacrifices we accept for what truly matters, and in the quiet work that ripples across generations. And now, as the world continues to chase the next viral moment, one has to wonder, what lessons are waiting for us in the spaces we rarely see? The story isn't over. It's only moving where the cameras can't follow. And its next chapter could change everything we think we know about influence, purpose, and the cost of choosing what truly matters.